few days, we have seen strong headlines, military movements in the region, warnings from world leaders, and growing fears of a wider conflict. People watching the news might feel confused. Some reports say Britain is helping the United States, while others say the UK is staying out of the war. So let me ask the question many viewers are asking right now. Is Britain really planning to join a war against Iran?
At the moment, Britain is not planning to join a full war against Iran. The government has made it clear that the UK is not launching attacks or leading military operations against Iran. However, Britain is working closely with its allies, especially the United States. This means sharing intelligence, helping protect military bases, and supporting defensive actions in the region. In simple terms, Britain is involved in the situation, but mainly in a supporting and defensive role. The government says its main goal is to prevent the conflict from becoming bigger and more dangerous. But the situation could change depending on what happens next in the region. Ahmed.
Some people might wonder why Britain is even part of this discussion. After all, the conflict is happening far away from the UK. But the reality is that Britain has strong military and political ties with many countries in the Middle East. There are also British troops and bases in the region. So this leads to another important question. Why is Britain involved in this situation if the conflict is mainly between other countries?
Britain is involved mainly because of alliances and security responsibilities. The UK has long-standing partnerships with countries that are directly affected by the tensions in the Middle East. There are British military bases and personnel in the region. If those bases are threatened, the UK has a duty to protect them. The government also wants to keep sea routes safe and prevent attacks on allies. Another important reason is global stability. If a war grows larger in the Middle East, it can affect energy prices, international trade, and security around the world, including in Britain. So the UK is watching the situation very carefully and staying connected with its allies.
Whenever there is a risk of war, people want to hear clearly from the country's leader. Citizens want to know whether their country is moving toward conflict or trying to prevent it. In recent days, the Prime Minister has spoken about the situation and the government's position. So let me ask this. What exactly has the Prime Minister said about Britain joining a war?
The Prime Minister has said that Britain does not want a wider war and that the focus is on protecting British people and reducing tensions. He has also stressed that any military action must be carefully considered and must follow international law. The government wants to avoid repeating mistakes from past conflicts where wars became longer and more costly than expected. At the same time, the Prime Minister has said Britain will stand by its allies if security is threatened. This means the UK could help defend against attacks if necessary. So the message from the government is clear: avoid war if possible, but stay prepared if the situation becomes dangerous.
History has shown that conflicts in the Middle East can sometimes grow quickly. A small military incident can turn into a larger regional crisis. That is why many analysts and political experts are warning about the risks right now. So here is another important question. Is there a real chance that this conflict could spread and pull more countries, including Britain, into it?
Yes, there is a possibility, although many leaders are trying to prevent that from happening. If attacks increase or if British forces are directly targeted, the UK may need to respond more strongly. In that situation, the government could decide to increase military involvement. Another factor is alliances. Countries that work closely together often support each other during security crises. That can sometimes lead to more nations becoming involved. However, most governments are currently trying to reduce tensions rather than expand the conflict. Diplomatic talks and international pressure are also playing a role. So while the risk exists, many leaders are working to stop the situation from becoming a larger war.
Whenever there is talk of war, people at home start to worry. They think about safety, the economy, and the future. Many viewers are probably asking how this situation might affect everyday life in Britain. So let me ask the final question of our discussion tonight. How could this situation affect people living in Britain?
For now, there is no immediate impact on daily life in the UK. But if tensions continue to rise, there could be indirect effects. For example, global conflicts can influence fuel prices, energy costs, and the economy. Markets often react to instability in the Middle East because the region is important for oil and international trade. Another possible effect is increased security measures. Governments may strengthen airport security, military readiness, and intelligence operations. There is also the concern about British citizens living or working in the Middle East. The government may need to help protect or evacuate them if the situation becomes more serious. So while people in Britain are safe right now, the government is watching the situation closely.
To sum everything up, Britain is not currently joining a war between the United States and Iran. The UK government says its priority is to prevent the conflict from growing and to protect British interests and citizens. However, the situation remains uncertain, and decisions could change depending on what happens next in the region. This is why many leaders are calling for calm, diplomacy, and careful action in the coming days. Thank you for watching our discussion today. Let us know your thoughts. Do you think Britain should stay out of this conflict, or should it support its allies more strongly? And stay with us for more updates on global news and international politics.